What's going on, guys? My name is Riley Diedrich and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be talking about my Army basic combat training experience. Yes, I'm in the Army, and no, I'm not active duty. I'm reserves. And there's a picture in case anybody doubts me. That's me and my friends on graduation day. Sorry, that was a little blurry. So yeah, I guess we'll start off with the date. So the date was August 19th, 2019, which was about 8 months ago at this point. That was when I shipped off to basic training. I showed up at my recruiter's office about 8 in the morning, and he drove me up to the airport. My flight wasn't until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I was waiting there for about 5 hours once we got to the airport. So my first flight left at about 4 or 5. It was about an hour-and-a-half flight, and then I flew from where was it? I think it was Charleston, North Carolina, to Columbia, South Carolina, because I went to basic training at Fort Jackson in South Carolina, which is just outside of Columbia. And I actually didn't end up getting into the hands of a drill sergeant, which is the first time I met one, until about 11 p.m. that night. So it was a pretty long day, long day of flying, sitting at the airport. But it was actually really just the beginning. I actually didn't end up sleeping for at least another 24 hours after that. So yeah, I arrived in Columbia at about 11 p.m. Drill sergeant was waiting. There was already a formation of people lined up, standing there. And so I went and joined them. We waited for a little longer, and then he had us all call our families, tell them that we had arrived safely. And at that point, we were in the hands of the drill sergeants. So we got onto buses. We had to wait like at least an hour. We were there for at least an hour, hour and a half. We got on some buses and we headed to what they call reception, which is the period of time before you actually start basic combat training. This is where you get issued all your uniforms, your dog tags, you get your picture taken, all this and that. So on my contract, it said that I would be at reception for about a week. It said I shipped off on the 19th and I would start basic training on the 26th. Well, I actually only spent like 3.5 days at reception. Maybe I think it was 4 days, I don't know. But yeah, reception's slow and it's boring. It's one of the worst parts of the whole experience, I'd say, just because it's just waiting. It's just a waiting game, you know. Some people, they don't start basic training for 2 weeks, and it's pure luck. Like, it doesn't have to do. It just, whoever gets thrown in the group, you know, gets to go. It's not like. So yeah, I got lucky. Well, I'll explain later. I wasn't so lucky, but anyway. Yeah, we were up all night that first night. So yeah, we had gotten to reception at maybe like 1 in the morning. We did some paperwork. We got some stuff issued to us, and then sun comes up. We went to breakfast. We did a whole day of more in processing and stuff, and then we finally got to go to bed that next night. So it had been almost 48 hours. Well, probably like 38. I don't know. Since the last time I had slept. So I was pretty tired. You're gonna be pretty tired the first few days. So yeah, I spent a few days at reception. And the date that I got shipped off to basic training was Friday, August 23rd, which, like I said, is 3 days earlier than my contract has stated. So, and I just want to point out that every battalion is going to have 5, maybe 6 companies, companies of about 240 recruits. Sorry, and usually what happens is when you get dropped off at basic training, every company is shipped off on the same day. So you'll have about 8 to 10 drill sergeants per company. So when you get dropped off on the buses, you have about 8 to 10 drill sergeants, yelling at you, screaming in your face, trying to freak you out, right? And that's 8 to 10 drill sergeants per 240 recruits. Well, our company, I was in Delta Company, we were the only company to get dropped off at basic training on Friday, August 23rd. All other 4 companies got dropped off on Monday, the 26th, which is what my contract had said. And it's what I thought I was going to get dropped off at basic training, but we were the only company. So the 240 of us, we spent 3 extra days at basic training doing nothing because we couldn't start. We had to be on the same cycle or the same routine as all the other companies, so we couldn't really start anything until Monday when we were actually supposed to start basic training. So we got kind of lucky, got to experience 5 companies worth of drill sergeants. It was very intense, and then also a few more days of extra days of PT that the other soldiers didn't, or the other recruits didn't have to go through. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, after reception, we're on to the shark attack, which is a lot of people freak out about. They don't know what to expect, and I actually have a video of my shark attack. Literally, it was my company. You know, the day we arrived on Friday, I found it on YouTube on. I'm not gonna say whose channel, but I found it on a channel. It's actually not on YouTube anymore, but I was able to pull it off my phone because I had screen recorded it. So here's a little taste of what that day was like. That poor kid right there who's getting quadruple teamed or whatever, he actually ended up getting chaptered out. He had like fractured some bones in his legs during the ruck marches, and he had scoliosis. It was a bad deal.
If your toes are not on the line, get them there. And I mean, do it right now. Scoot down. Scoot. I don't care about your bag. It's your shit. I do not care about your bag. Hold it around. Go around the front. Go to the big truck where you put your bags this morning.
That's my senior drill sergeant right there. He was a cool dude. Actually, I'm glad I got him. I think he was one of the best drill sergeants. But yeah, he was pretty scary.
Hurry up! Training Sergeant Elron Williams.
Alright, that's it. So, actually, this group of trainees that she's talking to is actually my platoon of 60. We were first platoon. I think I might be in the first row. I don't know. I could never find myself in this video, but it was just kind of cool seeing it all happen again. I remember I saw it maybe a week or so after I graduated. I was just scrolling through YouTube and I had come across it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty neat. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty intense, but it's not that bad. I mean, you don't get, during the shark attack, you don't really get smoked. They have 10 weeks to smoke you. If anything, what they'll do is they'll have you raise your bags above your head, which, I mean, technically counts, I guess, as a smoke session or smoking, but that's all, you know, they'll do. They'll be like, get your shit above your head, and your shit's heavy. Like, your bags are, you fit everything that you were given at reception, which is a lot, into your bags. And so when they say hold it above your head, you know, it's up there for 15-20 seconds, and your arms are burning real bad. And it can get pretty intense pretty fast because there's always that one. No, there's actually more than one, but you know, those people that just can't do it. They're just so weak, and then until they get their back above their head, everybody else has to hold theirs there. Like, they don't get to bring them down until everybody gets their shit above their head. So, you know, there's always going to be those people that just aren't as, you know, physically fit as others, and they're going to cost the whole group, but whatever. So yeah, after the shark attack, at this point we're in red phase. There's 3 phases in Army Basic Combat Training. You have red, white, and then blue. Well, technically there's four phases. I'll go into that. But red phase is approximately the first 3 weeks. You have it's all about first aid, learning the Army values, and just learning information about the Army. Teamwork, team building exercises, because at the beginning you're gonna argue a lot with everybody, you know, because like I said, one person's gonna get everyone fucked up, and then you're gonna start bickering, you're gonna start yelling at each other, and then you have to sleep in the same, you know, barracks as this person, and so that's gonna transfer, because, you know, you get in the barracks, and then the arguing continues. Like, there was so much hatred at the beginning of basic training. It was ridiculous, and I had no idea it would be like that. I was like, all right, we're all here to achieve a common goal, as we work together, and we're gonna be fine. Well, you'll learn that there's individuals that you're just not gonna click. You're not gonna click with. Like, they are just not the type of people you'd hang around with. You know, there's gonna be some people that you're like, why are you here? You don't deserve to be here. You know, you're an asshole. You can't work as a team. But you're gonna have to get over that if you A, want to blend in, and if B, you just want to get through it. So yeah, you do a lot of team building, and then you do your first FTX, which stands for Field Training Exercise. Basically, you pack all your shit into your rucksack. You do a little ruck march out to a desired location that is already pre-planned out, and then you spend a day out there in the field with doing some classes on different things. It can be first aid, land navigation, radios. Like, there's a whole bunch of different classes that they teach throughout basic training. So that'll be your first FTX. It only lasts, I think, 1 night and 1 day. So you'll march out there, you'll spend a day doing all your activities, and then you'll sleep, and then come back the next day to your barracks. And yeah, so after those 3 weeks, assuming your company is acting accordingly as the drill sergeants see fit, they will phase you up to the next phase, which is white. We actually didn't end up getting phased up at the right time during any of our phases, so I don't know. Maybe we were bad company. I don't think so. I think it depends on your drill sergeants, because the company that was across from us, they came, like I said, they came 3 days after us, so we were thinking, okay, we should get phased up before them every single time. That didn't happen. I think they got phased up before us every single time, and it just made our morale go down, because we were like, wow, are we really this bad? But I think the we had way more strict drill sergeants, so I don't know, it's all opinion, whatever. Yeah, so white phase. You get a phone call at the end of each phase as well. Right when we got to basic training, I believe it was after the shark attack, we got a phone call. It was literally 30 seconds. It had to be, we had a script we had to read. It was like, hi mom or dad, I've arrived at basic combat training. This is where you send letters. Don't contact me again or something. Goodbye. It was really short. I couldn't get a hold of anybody, so I just sent a picture. And yeah, so once you phase up the white phase, you get another phone call, assuming you guys are acting accordingly. I think our company had the least time on our phones during our phone call. Over the course of basic training, it was a total of 12 minutes on the phone. Our red to white phase phone call was 2 minutes. Actually, I lied. I'm sorry. Our initial phone call was 2 minutes. our red to white phase phone call was 5 minutes, and then our white to blue phase slash after our final FTX, because it took like an extra 2 weeks for us to get that last phone call, was also 5 minutes. So it was a total of 12 minutes over the course of 10 weeks. Meanwhile, one of the other companies that was next to us, they got to have their phones for 2 hours after the final FTX. So, you know, that kind of sucked. You know, we saw them, we were getting all excited, like, oh man, we'll get to FaceTime them, we'll get to get on social media. That didn't happen. So don't expect, just because other companies are getting privileges, don't expect that you can get the same. Sometimes it sucks and it's unfair, but whatever. I mean, it's the Army. What are you gonna do? So in white phase, you will do shooting, and that's pretty much all you're gonna do. You're gonna shoot with iron sights. You're gonna qualify with that, and then you're gonna shoot with a CCO or a red dot sight, as you gamers call it. Which I'm a gamer, so I call it a red dot, but they refer to it as a CCO. That's the technical term for it. And that's pretty much all white phase is. Oh, actually, I forgot to touch on some of the biggest things of red phase. The gas chamber, first of all, which it sucks, but it's not that bad. I mean, I was pretty nervous about it. It's one of those things where everybody has got to go through it. Nobody's died because of it, you know, unless you lied and said, oh, I don't have asthma, and you have asthma, you're gonna be fine. Which I had asthma as a kid, I think, but there was no problems, no trouble. You know, it sucks. You know, your lungs are burning. You walk in there, the back of your neck is burning. It's uncomfortable, but like I said, you know, after you get out, you know, you only have your mask off for about 20-30 seconds. You're breathing it in and it sucks, and then you get out, and I'd say after 2-3 minutes, you're fine. Like it doesn't burn anymore. You're not coughing, you're not snotting, you're fine. And then the other big thing for me was the Victory Tower, which is where you rappel. You do some other exercises there. For some people, if you're afraid of heights, that's going to be a big challenge for you. I didn't think I was afraid of heights until I got up there. Until you're on top of the tower and you're crawling along, because they don't want you to stand up. You're crawling to the point where they'll hook you up to the rappel wall, and I was pretty nervous. I was going down it slow, and drill sergeants were making fun of me. I don't know. It was pretty scary being up there. But then once you face the wall, you turn and face the wall, obviously, because you're rappelling. It's not scary anymore because you don't know how high you are. You're not looking down at the ground. You face the wall the entire time, so it's not that bad once you actually turn around and you're hooked up. It's really fun, actually. I would totally do it again. So yeah, those are two big things. They're confidence builders. That's what they're there for. They're not meant to put you in any pain. I mean, they're meant to make you uncomfortable, right? You know, the Army is they try to make you comfortable being uncomfortable, and they very much did that. So yeah. So I already touched on white phase. There's nothing to white phase. Like I said, it's just shooting. And then blue phase. I can't even remember blue phase. Blue phase is weird for us, like I said, because we got phased up later than everybody else. So we were in white phase for a long time. So I couldn't even tell you what all is supposed to be in blue phase. I do know that the final FTX is in blue phase. But other than that, I like I said, I couldn't tell you what's actually supposed to be in there. But another thing in white phase, before I move on to blue, that you do is a second FTX, which it's similar to the first. However, you spend, is it 2 nights out there? I can't quite remember. I think so. You wake up in the morning, you do another ruck march. This time it's longer. It gets longer every time. So the second one, I think we rucked about 9 miles. You get to your destination, you spend your day out there, you go to bed that night, you wake up the next day, you do another day's full of activities, and then I think that night you march to the, what was it? I don't even remember. Yeah, I know that you spend 2 days out there, and I think you spend 2 nights as well, and then you march back. So I think it's 2 days and 2 nights, if I'm correct. Like I said, it's been 8 months, and I really can't remember that well. But you basically do classes during the day, just like the first FTX. If anything, the Ruck March sucks, just because it's significantly longer than the first one. So for some people, it's pretty tough. So it wasn't that bad for me yet, though. And then, so now we're on to Blue Phase. The biggest thing that obviously people remember about Blue Phase is the final FTX, or the Forge, if you want to call it that. And I think people have heard that term a lot. It's a 4-day, 3-night training exercise. It's meant to test you on everything you've learned. And when I say test, I don't mean like a written test. I mean like put to work what you have learned over the course of basic training. So you'll use your land navigation. You will, demonstrate proficiency with your M4. You'll do first aid, like actual drills. You'll practice your drill. You'll do your team movements. Yeah, you'll do a whole bunch of stuff. But it begins by you wake up pretty early. So we actually woke up. We went to bed at I think 6 o'clock in the evening, and we woke up at 10 o'clock. So we had 4 hours of sleep beforehand. We woke up at 10. We got our shit ready, and we stepped off at midnight. I think it was midnight 40. It took us about 4.5 hours to ruck 12 miles. That's the initial length of the ruck march for the initial ruck march. We get to our destination, and then that's where you spend the first day. You spend it in at whatever location they decide. I think obviously it changes depending on your battalion. Everybody goes to somewhere else. I think I could be wrong, but yeah, you march there. You spend the day there doing classes but not just like learning, but like I said, you're testing what you've learned. You're kind of putting to test. They're doing drills with you, and basically you're working as a team. You're working a lot better at this point as a team. You're not arguing as much. You're working together, which is what they wanted to see. And so then that night we marched to what they call it's not Omaha. What is it? Oh yeah, it's called NIC, the Night Infiltration Course. I'm not gonna go too much into what it is. Like I said, I think there should be some surprises for people that are going. Like I said, I knew a lot because I'm the type of person who wants to know as much as I can, and I still made memories to this day that I will never forget. It's not like, I knew everything, it didn't surprise me, it was boring. No, that wasn't it at all. I fully was immersed, and I cherished every second I was there. But yeah, this is something that I definitely want to keep a secret, kind of. I mean, you can look it up online, and there's videos of it. Basically, it's pitch black, and it's basically like you're on Omaha Beach. You're crawling through sand, and it's pretty hectic. There's gunshots going off. Like I said, that's something I'll never forget, just because as of right now, that it felt like that was the closest to combat I've ever been, right? Which that'll probably change, but at the time it was pretty neat. And so yeah, you get done with that, you have sand in your pockets. Your pockets are filled with this much sand. It's pretty uncomfortable afterwards, just because of how much sand is just in your body, just everywhere. But whatever. you get over it, and then you go sleep somewhere. Actually, before you do that, after you're done, they get out the equipment, and the equipment is, they have water jugs that weigh about 40 pounds, ammo cans, dummies on stretchers, and you will carry that equipment specified amount of distance, whatever they've laid out. You know, like I said, I don't even know how far we went, but you will carry that to your sleep site, and then once you get there, you're allowed to go to bed for however long they let you sleep. Like I said, that depends on some people too. I've heard some people get a total of, 6 hours over the course of the 81 hours that you're on the forge. I think we ended up getting like 10 or 11, which was pretty good, but I know I didn't. One of the nights, I think it was the third night, it was raining. It was about like 48 degrees or 50 degrees and raining. So all my clothes my uniform was soaking wet. And they told us to lay down and go to bed. Meanwhile, rain's just pouring on your face, so there was no way in hell I was going to fall asleep. I just kind of laid there under my tarp, just cold and wet. But yeah, the last day you will do combatives, which is pretty fun. I mean, like I said, it was raining, so it was all like a slip and slide. It was a mess. I didn't really care at that point. I was in pain. I was tired. I was over it, and that's what most people are. Before the forge, they're like, "Oh, I'm looking forward to combatives. This is going to be great." And then once they get to the last day, they're so tired that most people are like, "I don't even care anymore. I'll get out in the first round." Which is kind of like, that's how I was feeling at that point. You'll also do pugil sticks, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. It's those big sticks. You wear the helmet and the football helmet, and they're big foam sticks. You basically run at each other and just beat the shit out of each other. We did a point system, so it wasn't just like beat the shit out of each other. It was more like, okay, a jab to the helmet is a point. A jab to the chest is a point. I don't remember how exactly it was, but something like that. And so first to 3 points wins. And then it was like tournament type style, so you went in a circle, and everybody went. And then obviously if you won, you win again. It kept going around the circle. That was pretty fun as well. What else? So after pugil sticks, so that was, like I said, that's the last day of the forge. And then you will march somewhere else, and you'll get ready for the ceremony. I'm not gonna describe that in detail because that's a pretty special moment. That's where you go from being a trainee to a soldier. You earn the title, you get to don the beret and put on your patch. Just like I said, you'll see a lot of tears, and your drill sergeants will even come put the patch on you, which is pretty special just because of how much shit they're always talking. Let's see, what did I not cover? Oh, another thing you do in Blueface is called Omaha, and that's pretty cool as well. You'll do, I think that's actually what takes up the blue phase up until the forge, because you practice for it a lot and then you do the real thing. So basically it's where you learn how to bound with your teammates, which is basically, if you're both online right here, you have one guy who will run up to another position of cover while this guy covers him, laying down suppressive fire. And then once he gets set, he'll provide cover or suppressive fire for this guy. And it's just back and forth and back and forth. You'll learn how to do that. So you'll do it with blanks, and then you'll do it with live rounds as well. Which, like I said, is pretty cool drill. You kind of feel you're doing actual real soldier stuff, which is pretty neat. What am I missing? So those are I just touched on the big things there's obviously so much time in there that's not accounted for. Keep in mind, in the Army and the military in general, you get really good at waiting. So you do a lot of waiting, a lot of just sitting around. You get told to sit and wait. Hurry up and wait. Somewhere in the middle of basic training, you'll get fitted for your Army service uniform, which is your dress blues, which is what you should graduate in. We didn't get to because it was raining, so of course. But yeah, that's about your 5th week, I think. So, that takes up a whole day as well. You'll get to go back to reception, which, because that's where your uniform fittings are done. And everybody hates going back to reception except for the food, because the reception has better food. So those first 2 or 3 days you're there at reception, actually it could be up to a week, the food's actually really good. And then once you get to basic training, it's not as good. So when you're there at reception, enjoy it and just know that it gets worse. But after basic training, the food does get better, a little bit better again, when you go to your AIT or OSUT if you're doing a 1-station unit training. So yeah, keep that in mind. The food's not bad at basic training. I mean, it's not great, but it gets the job done, you know. And when you're hungry enough, which you will be, you know, you'll eat anything. So Sundays are everybody's favorite day. If you are religious, that is your chance to go and be with your God of your choosing, worship Him or her, whatever. They have pretty much every type of religion you could think of. They have some services near your battalion, at least they did for us, and then the rest of the services, they would have buses come and get you at a certain time. So you're free to go to your religious services from about 8 in the morning to about noon, and then once you get back at noon, everybody will go to lunch, and then the rest of the day, or evening I guess, you'd say from about 1 o'clock to about 4 o'clock you'd be cleaning. Then you go to dinner chow, and then you get back from dinner chow. Usually the rest of the night would be your personal time from about 6 to 9, or 6:30 to 9 I guess I should say, for, you know, writing letters, doing whatever you choose to do. So yeah, Sundays are good days. Even if you don't go to church, in the morning you can actually get away with sleeping. After you show up for first formation, you can get away with going back to the barracks and sleeping, which is kind of nice. So yeah, that's I did that a few times. Actually, I did go to church pretty much every Sunday, because when you're there, whether you're religious or not, I promise church is going to be something that you want to go to. It's just emotional for everybody, you know, because it's kind of, for some people, especially the people that are struggling, it's like their only sense of hope, you know, because the chaplain is usually like one of the nicest guys you will meet in basic training, right? Everybody in your platoon is an ass. All your drill sergeants are asses, and then this chaplain guy, he's just the nicest guy in the world. I mean, if you talk to him one-on-one, he's nice, but not only that, like when he's giving his doing the service, you know, he's talking so you know, lighthearted, and you're just like, it's so foreign to you because all you've known is yelling for the past, you know, however long you've been there. So for sure, go to at least a couple services. Try out a few if you are not non-denominational or whatever. Go to, you know, several different services. Some of them have food. I never went to one that had food, but I did hear that I think the Jewish service gave out food, which is a lot of people went there even though they're not Jewish. So I mean, whatever. People just did whatever, man, on Sundays. Those are the good days. But Monday through Friday, you will do PT in the morning, which I will tell you that PT and basic training is significantly easier, you will find, than when you go to your AIT or at least that's my experience. I plan on making another video talking about my AIT experience, which is, I think a lot of people would enjoy that, especially if you are looking to go into aviation, because my MOS is a 15 uniform, meaning my job, I am a Chinook repairman. That's what I went to AIT for, and that was at Fort Eustis in Virginia. And so if you're looking to go to aviation, look forward to that video, because you definitely watch it. When I was looking on YouTube to find a video of like somebody who had went to Fort Eustis, I couldn't find anything. Nobody had made a video describing their time there or what to expect. And so when I got there, it was kind of a shock, and you know, it took some getting used to. It is more lax than basic training in some ways, but for me, it was not as lax as people had described it. That's just because of aviation. If you were any other MOS and you go to Fort Lee, Fort Gordon, I don't know, Fort Huachuca. I don't really know about Fort Huachuca or anywhere over on the west, but I do know about Fort Lee and Fort Gordon. You know, your time's going to be fairly calm and chill compared to where I went. But like I said, that'll be a completely different video. I think I covered just about everything that I can think of for basic training. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I can most definitely answer them. I know I didn't cover some things, but like I said, this is all out of my memory. I didn't write anything down. So yeah, straight off the top, that's what I got. So if you guys enjoyed, please leave a thumbs up. Like I said, leave comments if you have questions. Look forward to another video about my AIT experience in the future, and I will see you guys later.